This week we are coming out with 3 interesting webinars. The first webinar is your salary increased but due to your wealth. In this webinar we will be discussing on how to effectively use your salary to make wealth. And the second webinar is how should you invest when the markets are uncertain. In this uncertain market, what are the steps need to be followed in your investment journey? And the third webinar is your portfolio built the right way? 3 practical ways to review your portfolio. In this webinar, we will be discussing the practical ways to look into your portfolio. To join the above webinar, click the link in the bio and the description.
DIY versus M2W, which is better? There are crores of investors today in India who invest in mutual funds through the DIY route in the direct option. And there are other investors who invest with the assistance of a mutual fund distributor. M2W is basically a mutual fund distributor giving you suggestions on the right mutual funds for you to suit your risk appetite and align with your financial goals. In the DIY route, the most important saving is cost. There could be potentially a difference between 50 and 75 basis points between the cost that you pay as total expense ratio on your overall portfolio and what you pay as an M2W investor. But M2W offers you a holistic investment experience which you cannot get as a DIY investor. What do? First, we ensure that you don't make wrong fund choices. Very often, DIY investors make wrong fund choices and travel with them for years. Investment mistakes almost always go uncosted. Nobody costs how much he loses when he makes an investment mistake. There is something called opportunity loss, which happens every time you make a mistake as a DIY. If you make a wrong choice of a product and stick to that product for reasonable time, 2-3 years, chances are you missed out on another product where you could have made a significant return during the same period. What M2W does is ensure that you don't make investment mistakes in your choices. That's the first advantage M2W offers. Then, most investors have one pain point: they don't know when to invest. Is this the right time? Is a question we all keep asking around and never get the right answers. More often, we end up not investing when it was the right time to invest and realize much later that we should have invested then. M2W ensures that you participate in every market opportunity in your own small way to your capacity and invest regularly. What happens is that whenever the market falls and it is the right time to invest, the M2W investment philosophy and process ensure that you would have invested adequately. All you need to do is trust the process and go with the advice after duly understanding it. A DIY investor doesn't get such a trustworthy process. Nobody is giving it to him, and he also doesn't get those investment nudges at the right time when he ought to invest in the right fund. The difference between an investor who doesn't get these nudges and investment process and somebody who gets all of it is significant and measurable in terms of the investment outcome. I'll give you an example. 2 years ago, when everybody was investing in small cap funds, we ensured that none of the M2W investors invested in small cap funds because we saw a very high risk. Now, somebody who's a DIY who invested in these small cap funds has spent his entire 2-year time with that and not really got anything for taking such high risk. On the contrary, we consciously made the M2W investors invest in silver. Now, you all know the TER of silver is probably 10% or even less compared to the TER of small cap funds, even in the direct option. But we, as a distributor, bought these funds for all our investors. In the sense, we made them invest in these funds. And because they invested in these funds, they were able to more than double their money over the same period when the DIY investors went nowhere with small cap funds. So, on the one side, somebody makes a wrong choice of a product. On the other side, the M2W investor makes a right choice of a product. Interestingly, the cost of the wrong product was 10 times more than the cost of the right product. So, being cost obsessed is not going to take us too far, and on the contrary, being obsessed with process and product choices and investing in every opportunity will take us much farther to a much better place than a cost conscious investor would reach. This is what makes M2W completely differentiated from DIY investing, from every platform that tells you my service is free, and from the more ordinary investing that happens in index funds. We consciously believe that the process, the investment experience, and the way we nudge investors to become better at investing with every market opportunity will be invaluable and play a very strong part in creating the right investment outcome for every investor in Milestones to Wealth. Lastly, a DIY investor is taught to obsess about returns almost every day. People see the XARR every day, but we educate the M2W investor to focus on his savings goals. We tell him, set a target to reach your milestone of 2 lakhs. You should save 2 lakhs, and what you get out of the 2 lakhs is your bonus, it's your success. Similarly, go on to the next milestone. Keep doing this for all the 6 milestones of 2 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 25 lakhs, 50 lakhs, and 1 crore. The entire 1 crore should be your money. What the market gives you is your reward. So, we teach the investors not to obsess about returns when they make the next investment decision, because your investment decision is made based on the available opportunity and not on the basis of the past performance or the temporary state of returns in your mutual fund investment. Where your portfolio is a function of where the market is. And if the market is down, you should not be getting anxious about it. Instead, you use the opportunity of a fallen market, because it is the best time to invest, and you invest as much as you can, as much as your savings allows you, as much as your investment capacity permits you, and you ensure that when the market goes back to a better place, you are going to get returns and rewards which far out measure what the circumspect and anxious investor who does it by himself can achieve. This is what we have built in M2W, and this is what we are continuously building for you to make it a better investor experience than what you would get if you did it by yourself as a DIY investor, and if you were alone fighting the markets on a platform. We stand by you in your journey to 1 crore and beyond. Thank you for watching this video.